The war of line and color, how the Renaissance split over the very soul of art, Florence and Venice. Just the names conjure two different worlds, one of dry stone and sculpted form, the other of water, light, and shimmering reflections. But the divide went far deeper than geography. At the heart of the Italian Renaissance, an unending battle raged between these two cities, not over borders or trade, but over a deceptively simple question. What is the true essence of painting? Is it drawing or is it color? This quarrel, later crystallized as disegno versus colorito, split European art into two rival hemispheres. On one side stood Florence, home to Michelangelo and Raphael, the high priests of line and design. On the other, Venice, the floating republic of Titian and Tintoretto, where color reigned supreme. But this was no mere 16th century squabble. Walk into any art school or painter's studio today, and you will still feel the long shadow of that Renaissance clash. Two rival versions of truth. Let us begin with Giorgio Vasari, the first true historian of art. A Florentine architect and painter himself, Vasari declared without hesitation, disegno, design or drawing, is the father of all the arts. For him, a good painting was one where figures emerged from lines as if carved in marble. Form, anatomy, perspective, classical proportion, all depended on drawing. Color was merely the garment draped over these linear bodies. If the design was flawed, no amount of brilliant pigment could save it. Indeed, it would only make the failure more conspicuous. But in Venice, the critic and theorist Lodovico Dolce fired back. Colorito, painting or coloring, is the very soul of the art. The human eye, he argued, is first and foremost moved by light and color, not by hidden outlines. Dolce championed Titian as the undisputed hero of the Venetian school, and accused Michelangelo, Vasari's idol, of dryness and lack of color. Ironically, when Michelangelo saw Titian's Danae, he is said to have admired it, but then added with a wry smirk, "What a pity they don't teach drawing in Venice." That single remark captures the depth of the divide, even at the highest level of mutual respect. Art, economics, and climate, the hidden forces. This was never just a matter of aesthetic preference. Materials and environment played a decisive role. Venice, the gateway to Eastern trade, had access to costly pigments, ultramarine from Afghanistan, vermilion from the Far East, that were far rarer and more muted in Florence. Meanwhile, the damp Venetian lagoon made traditional fresco painting impossible. The plaster would never dry properly. So the Venetians pioneered oil painting on canvas, a technique that allowed for layering, glazing, and luminous transparency. In Florence, however, church walls cried out for fresco, a medium that demanded swift, decisive, and irreversible brushwork. In such conditions, meticulous drawing was not a choice, but a necessity. So the great disegno versus colorito quarrel was, in part, a child of climate and commerce. Each city painted in the language that nature and the marketplace had placed in its hands. From the Renaissance to today, a conflict reborn. The remarkable thing is that this quarrel never truly died. In the 19th century, when the Impressionists rebelled against the academic establishment with their loose brushwork and dazzling palettes, they were, unknowingly, the heirs of colorito. Yet Edgar Degas, a fervent admirer of Ingres and, through him, of the Florentine tradition, constantly lamented what he saw as the slack drawing of his fellow Impressionists. At the other extreme, Paul Cézanne tried to broker a truce, to marry the drawing of Michelangelo with the color of Titian. Contemporary art criticism, however, has complicated the binary. Some scholars now see the diseño colorido debate as not merely technical, but deeply ideological. In their reading, Florence's exaltation of drawing reflects the masculine values of the Renaissance: reason, control, form, sculptural solidity. Venice's celebration of color, by contrast, is linked to the feminine: fluidity, sensuality, emotional seduction. This gendered reading is itself debatable, but it shows how the old rivalry can still generate fresh interpretations. Other historians, such as Michael Baxendall and Svetlana Alpers, have asked a different question. What kind of looking did each school invite? The Florentine viewer is asked to read and analyze, to distinguish forms, to grasp hidden structure. The Venetian viewer, however, is asked to feel and immerse, to be swallowed by light and color with no guiding line to hold on to. Stand before Raphael's School of Athens and then before Veronese's wedding at Cana, and you will feel the difference in your very retina. So, who won? The honest answer is neither, but both left an indelible mark on the DNA of Western art. Today, even sculptors and architects know that drawing without color is arid, and color without drawing is chaos. Yet perhaps the greatest legacy of the diseño colorido quarrel is this: it forces us to recognize that no technique is neutral. Choosing between Titian's soft, loaded brush and Michelangelo's sharp, searching line is not merely a matter of personal taste. It is a statement about how you see the world, about your environment, your values, and even your politics. Florence and Venice taught us that art does not always have a single answer. Sometimes its deepest meaning is found in the tension between two equally valid truths.